It's super cold this morning. Probably -9 when we started. And we warmed up a bit on the trail. But it is rugged. Everything's a bit frozen. Everything's sliding around.
Hey, welcome back. Today we're down in Wellsford and we're down to help Steve cut some trail, which is really just a short section. It wasn't too much of an ask, and honestly, opening up more trails is just better for all of us. This area is down towards Area 62, if you remember from one of my older videos, so you'll get an idea of what the terrain's like if you remember that video. It's a bit rocky, it's got some elevation, but this is going to be some good fun. And so today it's Lance and me and Chris helping Steve out. Now at this point in the video, we're pretty much done cutting that little trail, and we're headed back to the trucks to drop gear and then head back out and ride a bit of a circuit.
Oh, Chris buddy. Captured on the hill. Oh, pulling a Colin. Digging a trench for the next guy. Sorry, Colin, you're not here to defend yourself.
Well, Chris did struggle quite a bit on this hill, but he's not the only one to struggle on a hill. I'm going to get my turn later on, and I could have made an entire 30-minute video of me trying to get up a hill. But I won't spoil the surprise. You're going to see it, or at least clips of it. Alright, I'm a little bit hung up right here, and this is where Chris was stuck as well. It's a bit of a shelf, and you'll see a picture of that in a second, but my back end's wedged into the trees, and I think the machete in my backpack is kind of hooked up on one of the trees. A little tug here, and I get free, and then I'll be okay. And by okay, I mean I'm going to be okay to push. And while there's going to be a fair amount of pushing, this one here you can kind of see what I was up against. I'm a little over 6 feet tall, probably 6'3" in my boots, so that gives you an idea of how steep that little climb was. And don't ever listen to Graham Jarvis. You do need to spin your tires endlessly sometimes to get traction. It just really helps. Not at all.
So that Starcross 6 does not like roots.
No.
No, it does not like roots, and if you remember when we were down in Stony Creek more recently, I complained about the same thing, and that's a situation no change, and I've not changed the tires, so I'm going to wince and whine about it a bit more here. So as mentioned, we're headed back down to the trucks, and the trucks are parked in the sand pit, and that means we're going to get a couple of hill climbs in. And that also means, if you're looking at the clock on this and contemplating whether you're going to give up another 17 minutes to this or not, but if you do, you'll see the rest of the trail, which is rather short, but what you're going to see is me spending a lot of time grinding it out on a really crappy hill.
Back to the trucks, okay. Lance did lose the spring off his bike. His kickstand. Kind of a bummer.
So for those of you that were paying attention, and not to me, but to the sounds of a big thumper in the background, and you pegged it as such, you'd be right. And that's Lance on his Honda 650, and I haven't seen that bike in a little while, but like I said, the TM is parked until it gets its refresh and is ready for the next season of racing. So this is the bike that Lance brought out, and man, it's a beast. The hill climbs are good fun, and the Starcross tire actually does work for that. But if you did notice to the right of me the bike parked on the hill, that would be Chris. And Chris is trying to beat his nemesis, which is that particular line which he's been trying to hit all summer and has not made it up clean.
Whoa! Nice!
Freaking got her! Go home! Head knocked over. Get that on video?
I did!
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I love it.
All right, so well, I got an admirer in Chris. Maybe not for my riding, but certainly for my videography, I guess. Anyway, I didn't know it at the time, but Chris had been trying to fight his way up that hill for most of the summer, and this was the first time to clean it. So well done to you, Chris. So as promised, we're headed back out onto the trail to ride a bit of the loop. And this is quickly going to take us into what I'm going to call the tossed salad bowl, because as you'll see, we're going to get into a bit of a bowl, and getting out is going to be pretty tough. I might be getting ahead of myself a little bit there. So this is not the bowl. You'll know it when you see it. We're going to ride a bit of a ridgeline, which is actually pretty stunning, and some wicked trails. So I'm looking forward to getting back here in the summer, because this is probably the last ride for the season. Christmas is just about upon us, so everyone's going to down tools and pick up new tools, which probably be a fork and knife as they stuff their face. But pretty soon we'll have the snow and we'll have the ice, and we'll be studded up and riding.
God, I miss listening to that thing on the trail.
Well, if you ever owned a big thumper, then you kind of know what I'm saying. It's just a special kind of bike. It's a bit more work, but man, they're a lot of fun. And from my perspective, Lance is marginally slower on that bike versus the TM, so that makes me feel like I'm a little bit faster to try and keep up with him. Man, these are some beautiful trails in here. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid living out in BC. The elevation changes aren't going to be quite as dramatic, but that kind of green and pine tree and those loamy conditions, that does remind me of the places I've lived before.
Good job!
Damn, I missed it.
That was a nice job. Chris took an uphill line with a log that was laying down in the middle of the hill, so you really needed to do a bit of a wheelie going up the hill and have enough speed to clear it. He did get over it, but got bucked off on the far side, but good on him for giving it a go. Listen to that 650 eat. This is pretty spectacular up here on this ridgeline. I'm not looking too hard to the left because I have a little issue with heights, but it's there. You got a bit of a glimpse of it, and if you really want to see it, you'll just have to come ride it. So this is what I call the tossed salad bowl, and maybe what we could call that little strip of trail we're about to engage in, tossed salad. You can certainly get tongue punched in here if you're not careful, because there are some big holes, and you could put a leg into one and fall over with the bike and hurt yourself. You're going to see Chris right here just trying to breach into that rocky field that goes up the hill and falls in the first 5 feet, which just indicates how slippery it is. And there's Lance on the upper line. That is the bypass. He decides to take the 650 up there, although he does come back and give this a try, but wisely backs out. Where I do not possess that wisdom, I kept going.
There'll be a lot of misery. And dangerous too, because there's some holes in there that if you put a leg in, then fall over the bike, and it's not going to be good.
Yeah, most people that make it to this point in their lives are pretty good at social learning. We don't need to step out in front of a car and get run over to learn that that's not a good thing. We can see that for ourselves when someone else has done it. We don't need to put a hand on a stove. We can learn from other people's wincing pain when they do it. But when it comes to dirt bikes and off-road riding, experiential learning, which is go out there and do it for yourself and figure it out, is generally what's required if you want to progress. And that even includes when it's not such a good idea.
This is probably a terrible idea.
It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. It's not a terrible idea. It's a good idea. It's a good idea to put yourself into these kinds of situations, to struggle through them and figure it out, or even fail, because fail is just an attempt on your way to succeeding. And success, much like Chris experienced on that hill, is pretty sweet. And the lessons learned in the attempts to get there are valuable. And also, so is struggle. And if struggle has value, well, I'm about to cash in big time. So a lot of this video is me looking down at my feet and looking at my tires, wondering why neither one of them are moving me forward. It is what it is. There's just going to be some things that need to be figured out, like a little bit of a game of chess here, where you're playing 3D chess against yourself and your other self is drunk. So it's not working out great for me.
I don't think I'll get through there.
No, and if you were to look at my foot pegs and the 2 giant rocks that were impeding their forward movement, that would be a pretty fair assessment. I didn't think I was going to get through there, so I ended up pivoting back and spinning up a bit more here on these rocks and contemplating my poor decision making.
Fuck, did I get over this way?
My frustration levels haven't peaked out at 10 yet, so they haven't given way to common sense, which means I'm still capable of making some shitty decisions, and I'm just going to keep doing that and pressing on into this Boulder Field. I've run Michelin's, a gummy Michelin with a soft mousse in it, and I'm used to a lot more traction, at least some resistance when you start to ease the clutch out. Here I'm not getting a whole lot. And here comes Lance. So Lance was feeling maybe a little bit left out, or he bowed to peer pressure and he ended up bringing the 650 into this pile of rock. But Lance, being a bit smarter and more thoughtful about his machine, makes a wise decision here shortly and turns around and pulls back out of this Boulder Field.
Not doing it.
No, I'm just fucking sitting right here sliding on nothing. Yeah, that's where Chris had gotten to. I don't know if I can get up out of this spot even.
I'm going back down. Fuck that. That was a silly idea.
Maybe that little rock right there, that brown one. Drop down right there.
As a dirt biker, you learn a lot of skills. Basic maintenance on your bike, clutch control, and using your boot as a shovel and stacking rocks so that you can get that bike up a hill.
And that's the whole
climb is 2 wheels are trying to climb at the same time the whole way up. Gummy territory for sure.
You can see there I've
yeah.
left a little bit of Starcross 6 behind on that rock. All that black there, that is rubber. That tire just does not want to hook up and climb, and it doesn't help that my front end is kind of pushing into a bit of a rise. So I'm going to stack some rock here and try to get my back tire up on top of it and see if I can punch forward. So all that sniffing is not me crying about these consequences that have befallen me for my bad decisions. It's just cold outside. Like I mentioned, it was probably -9 when we started. Right here, I'm going to get a little bit of glorious yardage. And it's a game of inches, like they say in football. So I gained a few right there, and for a moment, it felt glorious. But you know what? It's all pretty glorious. There's something about this that just adds to that mosaic of life and the purpose of life, and whether it's something you're achieving in the gym or something you're doing at work or family or kids or education, well, the School of Rock right here that I'm in right now has a purpose unto itself, and a little bit of suffering gives you some sense of greater scheme of purpose. Kind of like if we never died, we'd never live. Or maybe I just need to lay off the scotch.
This tire has no traction.
Yeah, it is pretty bad for this stuff, but it's my own fault. I've got at least 2 different tires, maybe even 3, and even a fresh gummy sitting in the garage that I could have spooned on pretty quickly. So the suffering is my own fault, and for that I have to apologize to Steve, because now he's suffering along with me, dragging me up this hill.
Frustrating when it won't even move an inch under its own power.
Oh yeah, it is frustrating, but seething rage is a bit strong. I'm not actually feeling that, just frustrated, and I'm getting vocal about it, complaining, whinging, and whining, which is working me towards earning that bunny, and is breaking one of my cardinal rules to not just swallow it down and suck it up. So I'm having a princess moment. I want my tiara. Hoping that was the final little tug and I'd coast up this part here, but it doesn't pan out that way, and I'm just going to keep moving towards earning the bunny. I don't remember ever giving up my bike for someone else to ride out because I couldn't, and I'd like to say that I was starting to feel bad and wanted to take over duty dragging the bike because Steve had been doing a lot of that, but a lot of it was just really me getting kind of tired and a lot frustrated. So for this moment right here, and with the concurrence of the judges above, I will take the bunny for this trip.
Oh, definitely. Alright. That was just struggle fest ridiculousness.
And yes, it was, but that does bring us to the end of the video, and it might be a little while before I get the next one up, so I'll wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and thanks for staying in and watching, and we'll see you shortly.